Look at them there. October 8th, 1966, and our first ever glimpse at the cyber race. Go back and watch The 10th Planet from start to finish, and you'll see that as a TV specimen, this 4-part swan song to the William Hartnell era was not without its problems. Due to ill health, Hartnell barely featured. Ben sorted out most of the problems in that story. Well done, Ben. And whilst these fresh-out-the-box alien menaces looked and even sounded cool, there was clearly work to be done in distinguishing them from all the other baddies featured in Doctor Who, if they were indeed to ever appear again. Yeah, of course they flipping were. By no means a bad start though, and the concept alone made the 10th Planet an intriguing Doctor Who specimen. Can you believe these particular Cybermen had names? Krang, Jarl and Gurn there. I don't know who's who. So a while back I promised you all a video on the Mondasian Cyberman origins, and I've now decided against doing that. Sorry. Instead, I'm giving you 2 videos on the Mondasian Cybermen origins. Welcome to the first. Chosen Chimp here. The history of Mondas is shrouded in discombobulated facts that exist in spite of each other. If you've watched or read anything on Mondasian Cybermen origins, then you'll know this. For example, the 1987 Grant Morrison World Shapers comic, where the Vord are stated to be Cybermen in their early stages. Something I immediately figured we were largely encouraged to ignore, except in the 2017 episode The Doctor Falls, the Doctor name drops Marinus as just one planet where the Cybermen originated. Certain accounts even cite Marinus as the same planet as Mondas. So what gives? What is the definitive Cyberman origin story? How did this twin planet with the upside down continents end up drifting through space as an ice block, with the intent of sapping our unbeknownst planet Earth of all of its resources? While we are here, big props to Stephen Moffat's reimagining of this original incarnation in World Enough and Time and The Doctor Falls, where the word parallel evolution is inserted to clarify that Cybermen have the capacity to pop up just about any place where there's sentient life. In this case, we have a Mondasian colony ship trapped in the pull of a black hole, and is therefore completely detached from the apocalyptic happenings of the planet Mondas itself. But the same flesh into steel chain of events occur, and if you think this is a creepy start, what about this? Probably the most primordial form of Cyberman going, just gowns with knots at the top of their heads. It's horrid. All these guys can do is touch a button that communicates the word pain, and the only difference between that version and this version is that this version is modified to simply no longer care that that pain exists. It's still tortured on the inside. Well, thanks for filling in that gap, Moffat, you clever monster. So you can't go back a great deal further than this, right? Well, yes and no, because it doesn't account for what specifically occurred on Mondas, and how it went from a prosperous world in its own right to a rocket-propelled sphere of augmented silver nastiness. Last time I did Cybermen, I talked about the archive tapes and how cool that was, but even that doesn't tell the story straight from the mechanical horse's mouth yet. I'm going there. More so from an extremely attentive audience member who watched every TV episode of Doctor Who to feature Cybermen and arrange them in a coherent fashion. As far as filling in that gap goes, we needed outside sources, and here is one such source that you cannot afford to miss. By the way, I'm diving deep into these bits of media, so spoilers are gonna come thick and fast. If you haven't done them and you want to do them, then don't do this. But when you do them, come back and watch the video. It's 2002 and Big Finish are doing stuff. Writer Mark Platt, longtime friend of the Doctor Who family, creates a piece of audio fiction that brings the fabled boiling point of Cyberman germination fully to life in a marvellously chilling fashion. When canon gets complex, it's good to have one solid, tangible origin story to clear things up. I'm talking about the 2002 Big Finish audiobook, Spare Parts. What an amazingly disturbing bit of Doctor Who this is. Mark Platt paid a great service to the fans in this audio 4-parter. It really gets into the bones and brains of the ill-fated twin to planet Earth. This thing here, you see that? Turns out the Doctor was there one time. Doctor number 5, that is, and not long after he lost Adric to the Cybermen, so no love lost there, as you can imagine. Like a moth to a light, our trusted Time Lord finds himself directly in the crosshairs of Mondas' history, and even changes it a little, kind of, for a bit. For all our world knew of Mondas, on the ground level, okay, the underground level, it was a planet very much like Earth. Identical, in fact. The people, reassuringly similar. They also like cinemas and stuff. Except in this time and place, humanity had escaped to an underground biosphere where the energy resources ran on artificial power alone. This makes perfect sense, of course, as there is no sun to speak of, and the planet is tumbling frozen, nowhere near any star. Wow, this guy really took the ball and ran with it. Do you know what other bit of continuity I love? The fact that one of the Cybermen in this story is called Commander Zeng. He's got a name too, just like these old boys. One of the many reasons why this narrative is in perfect sync with the future events of the 10th planet. Just as the Doctor gets here, a cyber police state is running curfews and such which. All the fun stuff in the town has shut down. Crude conversions are laying down the law on augmented horses. Look at that. A turbulent transition is about to begin, and things are set to get a great deal grimmer from here. Human leadership died by the sword. A once human committee now biologically withered in favour of cyber-dized, logic-driven brains cares not about the dwindling health and morale of its human populace, only in calculating and executing the most viable solution to the current predicament of Mondas: cyber conversion across the board. I mean, did we really ever think that the humanity of Mondas woke up one morning and went, oh yeah, let's make ourselves robots? Of course there was going to be a secret history, a complex chain of political and social events that led to that final decision. The very idea of going cyber and trekking to the surface, this surface, in aid of the planet Mondas was plugged to the human populace like wartime propaganda. That's how this story opens. It's really chilling stuff. Spare Parts is official proof that this was a story that needed telling in great detail. The Doctor does stop it in the end, and in the process unwillingly gives info on cyber evolution in a whole time loop thingy that, yeah. Do you know what? I try to forget that happened. I'm sorry, I don't much care for time loops. Sorry. And of course we get the obligatory twist at the end of the story that assures us that humanity's downfall on Mondas is inevitable and was only delayed by the Doctor's incursion on their plans, not prevented. So you don't have to get all happy about that if you don't want to. All that horrid stuff does happen in the long run anyhow, so how about we just focus on that? Where were we? The story goes really, really dark towards the end when the population of the city start to get rounded up like cattle for conversion. But the most disturbing scene is easily when the young, sprightly cyber candidate Yvonne returns to her family home. Not as the chirpy young lady that her father and brother once knew, but as a botched cyber conversion trapped in a state of garbled pain and confusion. Her father and brother cuddle her by a Christmas tree like she's a big robot baby, before she eventually fizzles out and dies. Harrowing. Spare Parts is a profound, bleak, noisy, electronic, industrial murk of duality between man and machine, and the emotionless, visceral unison of the two. The mystery of Mondas is well and truly unboxed in this audiobook. I'm sorry, but I can't give it enough credit. This is the struggle, and that was the end result. And this, friends, is one of the best pieces of cyber material I have ever sampled. I love it. I think we can consider this the definitive origin story of Mondasian Cybermen. It fills in the gap as effectively as one could hope for, and brings the drama, humanity, and horror to life in masterclass fashion. It's easy to see how it directly influenced later TV stories such as Rise of the Cybermen and Age of Steel. There are a lot of similarities, despite those episodes being nowhere near as dark as this audiobook. In both versions, the Doctor journeys to a dying parallel Earth and finds that the last vestige of man's attempt to survive is the worst idea possible. But, as I'm sure you already know, this is not the only Mondasian origin story in existence. And guess what, folks? It's not even the craziest. Oh boy, are we gonna get to that. I hope you liked this video, and I do hope you can join me for part 2. In the meantime, tell me all your favourite Cybermen stuff in the comments, and don't forget to hit subscribe. Have a good one.